Hi, I'm Christina Johnson. I'm your host for the Pan de Dios podcast. The Pan de Dios came to me here in Mexico as an expression of goodness, of gentility, of kindness. And the podcast is about Pan de Dios moments in your life. Hi, I'm Christina Johnson. This is Pan de Dios. Today's guest is Alanna Levenson. She's an executive and leadership coach who helps people reconnect with themselves through experiential coaching, both with and without horses. Her work is grounded in the belief that the most powerful presence in the arena is you, and that your relationships, leadership and decisions all reflect the relationship that you have with yourself. What's fascinating is none of this was part of her original plan. And so we're going to hear more about that. So we know it wasn't her original plan. We know this is the direction that she's going. And we know, or I know, or I'm thinking, this is really unusual for somebody who was coaching and working with executives and in corporations. How did you end up here? So there we go. So tell us about it.
Yes. So I've been professionally coaching for 21 years, and it's been a journey in terms of who I've worked with and in what capacity. But for the most part, I would say a big majority has been spent with business owners and then eventually executives or leaders in corporations, and then getting to team coaching and all that. But what I wanted to share today was kind of what I've been calling a divine download, if you will. But I'll back up a second
Oh,
and
I like
say,
that. I like
yeah,
the divine
okay,
download. Yeah.
yeah, because that's what it felt like. But who knows? Maybe it was my higher self or my intuition or the matrix or whatever we're in. I mean, what do we really know? But to back up, I will say that I grew up with horses. So I had a pony growing up, Fritzy, who I used to go riding with my dad all the time. And he was a horseman, even up to just a few years ago. He's still on the planet, but he's a bit older. So horses have been a part of my life, but I never thought about it as something to integrate into my career. And so last year, I was kind of feeling this sense of things are changing in the work world. Artificial intelligence is having a huge impact on that, which I know a lot of people are feeling. It's definitely impacting the coaching world. And I thought to myself, God, I don't know what I would do with myself if I couldn't keep doing this kind of work. But what am I going to do? Right. So I just kind of threw it out there. And I even said this. I said, whatever you are out there, I said, tell me specifically what I'm supposed to do. Don't give me a hint and make me try to figure it out. Tell me specifically what I'm supposed to do. And it took a couple of months after I had thought about that, and I literally said it out loud in my house by myself to my dogs. And I love salsa dancing. And this one night I was driving to salsa class. It was a Monday evening, beginning of November. And I heard a voice. And the voice specifically said, you need to look into equine coaching certification programs and get certified. It was that specific. And I was like, okay, right. So I go to class, enjoy the class, go to sleep that night, wake up the next morning, and I start doing research and, got on Facebook, started researching programs. By the end of December, I picked one. And by January, I was in Tucson, Arizona for my first in-person training. And now I'm pretty much done. And I'm going to be moving to a new city where I've met some amazing people whose horses I will have the opportunity to work with. So it's all just in what is that, like 6 or 7 months? It's all just very much transpired. So it's been an interesting experience.
Yeah. So what are you hoping in terms of your personal self, your higher, your spiritual self, your purpose, what do you hope that this will bring to you personally?
Hmm. Well, I know you spend time with horses, so they're just, amazing animals to be with, powerful animals to be with. Another type of sentient being, and I've already learned things about myself that I had forgotten about. I'm learning new things about myself. I'm going through some healing, and I'm really enjoying what I'm learning about them and how they communicate the energetics of their presence and how it works with ours, as well as how that then is teaching me more about how I can even coach people without horses. And I even just a little while ago, about an hour ago, I had a coaching session with somebody and I brought up some things that I'm learning about horses, and he really resonated with it. So and I know there's a lot more there to learn from them, about them, with them. Yeah.
And so if you had a, like, what would be your most powerful vision of where you would be in 1 year with what your desire is now with this work?
Yeah.
What can you imagine yourself doing?
I imagine myself doing one-to-one work with clients as well as group work. Who for those that want the group experience or learn with others, where I've deepened that knowledge about them and have developed even a higher level of confidence in being able to read their body language, understand what they're communicating, and uh, and just become even a better coach, even after all these years having done what I've done.
Here's something that I'll just bring up just because you might enjoy it because I don't know you well. I you know I I think I know pretty much like how you, like the kind of person you are. You're a planner. You're very much a planner. You really like to have things all planned. All you like to organize. You like the introduction, sort of on the page on the things you like to have. Like to have things really in order in a certain way, or like you're packing now and you're going through. So I'm imagining sort of this just the way you are. I've discovered recently there was a online, I think it's called Horse Tricks. I'm not sure, I can't remember what it's called, but it's things to play with your horse. And I'm telling
Mm.
you this because I'm not sure this is something that you would have already thought of. Um,
Mm.
and well, of course, since I have a horse, this is really interesting to me. But it's a whole other spectrum uh, that you could widen. I'm widening for myself things like that are new to horses to make them interested.
Mm.
Because, sometimes when we work with horses, uh, you, me, anyone work with horses, um, the horse isn't ever exactly bored because they're so present.
Yeah.
But a lot of other things can be drawing their attention that are a lot more interesting than what we're thinking they ought to be doing or what because other things are more interesting. So the idea of this is like blowing bubbles, for example.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And having it, blowing bubbles, things where the person plays the horse and you can see responses and,
Yeah.
things like that. And I recently, along this line, I was thinking balls or anything new, like a bottle that has a funny top that the horse can kind of play with. And my horse likes hats,
Okay.
like going for hats. But I ordered these butterflies from Amazon that I had seen once before. They're surprise butterflies. They're wound up on a rubber band. And then it used to be they would be like in an envelope and you send someone a card and they're in there. And so when they open the envelope, the butterfly flies
Yeah,
out because the
okay.
band comes.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got 10 of them to play with my horse.
Okay.
I haven't tried it yet, but I thought, you take off the little trigger and the butterfly goes. So this is part of something that I'm enjoying, that I'm thinking this will be great for some of my clients too. With, like, because instead of it being like, oh, what's the next question? This response, that, there's a playful energy where everyone's surprised. It's like,
Well,
you know,
I appreciate you bringing this up because a few minutes ago you said something about me being a planner. And yes, I for the most part do like to plan, although I also very much appreciate having opportunities to be spontaneous, but it's more about being prepared. So
prepared.
I'm
Yeah.
a big preparer,
Yeah.
and so it's a little bit
Yeah.
more distinct, but I should say and the other thing I love about being with horses is because of something else that you said, which I'm learning, is how present they are and how much such a beautiful reminder of just being in the moment, because this is really all we have right now is the moment, right? We can remember and reflect on the past. We can plan and prepare for the future, or wait with anticipation, right, for it to come. But really, all we have is now. And when I or anyone else gives ourselves permission to just be present, which when you're with a horse, it's like, depending how big the horse is, it's a strong presence, and it calls you to just be in the moment, which, by the way, also creates space for creativity and play. And so that is something that, I spend a lot of time working from home, being on my computer, sitting in a chair in front of a screen. And that's something else, I think, why this came up is because I'm craving being back outside and being with people and just being in the moment, and being with other beings' energy, and what a gift it'll be to be in the presence of them, along with other people, and just see what those experiences can transpire, because I'm not going to know. Like, I can bring an activity, but I have no idea how it's going to go, right?
Well, and this is the other thing too, and as you experience more with horses. I mean, when I was mentioning these are things I'm going to try with my horse. But I've mentioned my horse Avatar is incredibly stable and calm, and so I think my thought is, my gosh, if he sees the butterfly, he won't get freaked out. He'll just go, "Oh, look, butterfly." I wouldn't necessarily try that with another kind of horse.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But
yeah,
but the idea of play, for me, is something that uh, uh, broadening broadening well, it is broadening the possible experience that could happen with the client, because
mm.
I never really introduced play before.
Mm.
And except by well, when I worked with children, I did. When I worked with children and horses, but I haven't introduced play with adults and horses. Um, so anyway, I just thought I would throw this something. It's something new to me from this website about things that horses enjoy, but really anything new.
Yeah.
Something, some a new that they don't know about. You
Yeah,
know.
well, and the audience that I typically work with and would love to continue working with are adults who
Mhm.
are in the business world. I mean, I'd love to start, when I first started coaching a long time ago, I was doing life coaching, and I do want to start incorporating that back into my practice, as well as continue to work with business owners and leaders, and introduce the element of play and presence, right? Because imagine how that can uh, help people in the work world with creativity and innovation and problem solving and collaboration and communication. I mean, like all of it. And what comes to mind about this is there was this one time where I was co-facilitating a workshop in a conference room with a colleague of mine, and we arrived in this building with at a company who said that we could use their conference room. So we go in this conference room, and on the table there's a bunch of little toys, and I hadn't seen toys like that in the workplace. And I was like, what are these? And so I asked somebody who worked there, I said, I'm just super curious, like, what are these toys doing here? And she said, there's a marketing team that meets in here all the time, and they pick it up, and it's something sensory to
Mhm.
play with in their hand that when you do that, it gets people out of their head and it inspires more creativity. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really fascinating. Like it was toys that you could bend. They came in different colors. There would be animals or like little stick people that would, bendy arms and bendy legs. But I thought that was fascinating. And so again, ways to bring play and presence into the workplace and what that can do for us as human beings, because we can get very structured and serious and
Well, I
very,
know, and even the word work is just we have in the English language more words than any other language. And still, how many ways are there to say work? I mean, it's for me, it's like, well, I worked with this person, I worked with this client, I worked with this, and I just don't like use the word is, first of all, it isn't exact because maybe it's working because maybe I'm getting paid for it, but it doesn't mean it's work.
I love that. What would you call that? What would you
Well,
call
I
it? Yeah.
don't know. I'm just,
Yeah.
it would be one of those things where I'd probably look up words. I have this really great book. David White, the poet, is the
Mhm.
one who recommended this book. It's called 32 Names for Field.
Okay.
And it's a book about Irish language. And they have 32 words for a field. And I'm not off track here. Since we're on play and words, this is
Yeah.
something with you as a business coach. You wouldn't, it's like the word whole. Well, whole in Irish, you have the kind of hole a woodpecker makes, the
Mm,
kind of hole that a horse has stepped in, the kind of hole where a stone, when you lift a stone and there's a hole underneath it, they have all these words. And
that's
then
so
it
good.
stretches
Yeah.
your mind
Yeah.
to consider the words we use
Mhm.
and how we could bend them just like the toy. We could
Right?
bend those words. There's no rule against it. You can make up
Yeah.
your own darn word.
And I have every once in a while. Like if somebody is making something logical, I call it logicizing.
There,
Yeah.
there.
I guess that's the way that I incorporate play into the work that I've been doing to create levity, right? Because sometimes the scenarios in which I coach people in business can be heavy and serious and intense. But yeah, it's also remembering how we think and feel about things and how that has an impact on what we're doing and how we interact with others.
Right. And also, just along with that, the same line, and maybe you know these things and maybe you don't, but my horses in Mississippi, one of them, the whorls of hair, they go, they like
Yeah,
to go in
yeah.
a circle, and horses usually have at least one or two in different places. Well, there's folklore or medicine, whichever you want to call it, that depending on where the whorl of hair is on the horse and which direction it goes tells things about the horse's personality.
Ooh, I
This
would
is
love
a
to learn that. That's
See, this
interesting.
is a way to play. This is why I'm telling
Yeah.
you. I'm helping you. I'm coaching you with your fun things. With your,
I love it. Yeah.
well, turns out, and then if there's a certain kind of whirl that they call the prophet's thumbprint.
Mhm.
Well, here in Mexico, I just found out last week that when a horse has like a dent in the muscle where it's not perfectly round, they call it the prophet's thumbprint here.
Yeah.
For me, I call it the horse needs craniosacral work. I mean, for me, if I see a dent, I can, because I've worked with that before, and the dents just can disappear because there's an unevenness of muscle because of the way the horse is using the body and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, the prophet's thumbprint as a dent or something. But these are things that are also things to pass information on for your clients that are really playful. Like, how many prophet's thumbprints can you find on the horse?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Well, but it's where my brain goes is like, well, what's the purpose of that? The purpose would be to support that person in becoming more observational, like get to notice things that they might not normally notice, especially people who are in their head or right, they're not what I would term as other centered, and they could benefit by becoming so. So that's a playful way of getting, and it's sort of like do you remember the Karate Kid? It's like the exercise of like the wax on, the wax
Oh,
off,
wax on, wax off. Yeah.
right? And he doesn't tell him why he's asked him to do it until he gets frustrated and is like, why are you having me do this? And then he tells him by showing him, right?
Mhm.
So that to me, like when you said that, I'm like, oh, that would be an interesting way to help someone become more observational outside of themselves, for them to notice things that they might not normally notice.
Especially with horses, because horses are big, like you said, and
Yes.
people don't
Yeah.
notice a lot of things. And another thing would be, well, if this wasn't already named, like somebody gave this name in the States, the world, or in Mississippi, I should say, not the United States, in the state of Mississippi,
Yeah.
they were calling it the prophet's thumbprint. But like, if nobody called it yet, what would you call it? Like, if there was no word for it yet, what would you call that?
Little whirls. Yeah, like little hair
Or
whirls. Yeah.
like for people to make up their own language name, that's another way, just for
Yes.
people, do you know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
I don't know, the word doesn't exist, but I'd call it a lordy do. I mean, you know what something that kind of helps people wake up
Yeah.
their possibilities, right?
Well, and again, in terms of, see, this is where my brain goes. See, again, in terms of communication, it's like, okay, well, you would call it a lordy do. I would call it a hair whirl. Like, who knows what somebody else would call it? But are any of us wrong and are any of us right?
Right.
No, it's just
No,
what we call it. And
right.
that also brings attention to the fact that, well, I don't know about a lordy do, but there's the words in a dictionary and there's the actual meaning of it. But often words aren't necessarily used in the dictionary sense. We've got, the social norms or, lingo, if you will, and that occurs in every language, even in Spanish. So it's bringing attention to, well, what does that mean for you?
Hmm.
And not wronging somebody else for the way that they see it or what they call it. It's just hearing it, understanding it. It's like, oh, it's just information, and information without judgment. We can make choices about what we want to do with it, but really we're not on the planet alone. So it's about connection, connection, collaboration, partnership, learning, self-awareness, experience,
Hmm. Hmm. And having fun with it.
and having fun. Yeah.
Having fun with it. If there's it's I don't know. What was it? I read an Eleanor Roosevelt quote today. It was more or less the lines of, what if we're not enjoying ourselves while we're here, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's like, no, no, we're enjoying ourselves. Is there anything else before we end our time?
I guess the only thing is I want to leave the audience with paying attention. Just pay attention. Pay attention to, what you and I have been talking about, but in terms of how, my download or intuition even happened. We all get them. I'm not any more special than anybody else. And it's a matter of, are you paying attention enough to see it, hear it, and then don't wait. Don't sit on it, stew on it, question it, doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
Do something with it. I could have, the next day when I started doing research about equine certification programs, it could have taken me down the path to the point where I was like, yeah, no, fun idea or fun intuition, but yeah, I don't want to do it. But that's not what happened, right? That could happen for somebody else, but at least you know that you've looked into it enough. You took an action on it enough to know, do you or don't you want to do something with this? And all it did for me was prove like, yes, seems really exciting and really fun. But so when you get those signals or those cues or those intuitive hits, pay attention and do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been fun. This has been delightful. And
Likewise.
yeah, so I'm thinking about, I get to see my horse tomorrow. I get to go riding, and I'm just thinking of what new thing I could bring him, that would interest him, like for even a minute, something just really different, a different hat.
There you go. Yeah.
So, okay, do you want to tell people how to contact you?
Yes. So gosh, I'm a little all over the place. So I'm on and I'll give you the links if I haven't already. No, I think I sent you the links, but I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I have a website, I'm on Facebook. So and I did a podcast for a little while, and every once in a while I'm honored to be on somebody else's podcast. So there's lots of places to find me and connect with me, and please reach out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I always end this with a pan de Dios. So let me think about your pan de Dios. Let's see. May your pan de Dios rise with levity.
I love that. Thank you. I'll take
Okay.
that. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Christina.
I hope you enjoyed the pan de Dios moments. Please let us know if you have a moment that you'd like to share on the podcast. And goodbye now, and may your pan de Dios always be rising.